we may as well start with Harlan Hodges.
Okay.
Tell me what you can about what kind of guy he was.
Harlan Hodges was a class person, not only as a coach, but as a person. He was very, very loyal to people that he worked with, and just a high-class person. You can ask anybody that had any contact with Harlan Hodges would tell you that.
What kind of personality as a coach did he have?
Well, he was fiery if he thought that the referees were giving him a hard way to go. But he didn't bait the referees except if he thought he was not receiving. I'll give you one example. After I left, Garrett Bashir, we played together 3 years, and Bashir was a great player. And so they were playing at Moorhead at Maysville, Kentucky. And so the first half, this referee called 5 walkings on Bashir. So Hodges goes out at the half, and he said, "You called 5 walkings on Bashir," and said, "Show me what he did." The referee said, "I don't know what he did, but he walked." So anyway, and there was a referee called, I can't think of his first name, but his last name was started with a B. He was supposed to be a big-time referee in my freshman year. Bowser Chess, that's his name. And so Hodges got into it with him and got him blacklisted. They were calling him over our games. So if he thought he wasn't receiving a fair shake, he would get up and raise heck. But basically, he wasn't one of those coaches that baited referees.
You have any humorous stories about Harlan Hodges that you can tell?
Well, I was trying to think of anything that would. Well, I could put this in there, but one time at Christmas we were practicing, and so Bashir was married, and so was Melvin DeWeese. And so he went over and knocked on one of them's door, and one of them came, I think it was Bashir, came to the door with a beer in his hand, but he just turned around and walked off and never said anything. But Bashir was 30 years old.
What are you going to say?
Yeah, right. He was a very successful coach in high school before he came here at West Frankfort, Illinois, and he was an assistant at SIU in basketball and football, and then he got this job. Basically, he was a friend of Rupp's, and Rupp put a lot of good words in for him to help him get this job.
He was a friend of Adolph Rupp?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that's basically how he came to Murray State.
That's interesting.
Because Rupp had a lot of pull back then.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And so that was his. And then, of course, after he was here, he left and went to the University of Idaho as head coach. And the University of Idaho was in the Pac-10. He beat California when the year they won the NCAA while he was in Idaho. Wow. So that was it was a big time job when he went to Idaho, not like it is today with Idaho.
So he basically left here to move up.
Yeah, to move up. That was what it was. It wasn't. He only had one losing season while he was here. But what had happened, the way that job came about, there was a fellow that he knew that was on the faculty out there at Idaho and recommended him. And that's how. So he had success out there. He finished second that year in the Pac-10 that California won the NCAA, and he beat him during the season once.
Okay. You say he was close to Rupp. Did Rupp ever come down to Murray while...
That I don't know, but one of the biggest things that he did, he and Ed Kellogg, who was a sports editor of the Paducah Sun, they're basically the two that started the North-South game.
Okay. Talk about the North-South game. Okay,
the North-South game was held here 8 years, and it was the premier basketball high school. There'd never been one like there is today. And so Murray State has it here, 8 different, they brought in 10 to 12 high school players from all over the country.
High school players?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
For some reason I was thinking it was a college All-America game.
No. And some of the players that played in it were Tom Heinsohn, Tom Gola, Bob Pettit, Jim Taylor, the old football player. That's some that played in it. I can name some more, but that's the ones I can remember right now. And so had it for 8 years. All the big-time coaches in the country came in here. And that's how, if you look at the schedule, when Hodges was here, of all the big-time teams that Murray State played, and that's how it came about. you can look on there, Texas, Baylor, Houston, Wichita, Long Island, ranked number 1 in the country.
Louisville came here in 48, 49.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, they were in the OVC in 48, 49.
Oh, okay. Well, that would explain it.
So he was a promoter in one sense, but he and Ed Kello actually were responsible for the North-South.
When did the North-South thing start?
Well, let's see, 50. Trying to think, it ended, I believe, in 56. I have all the North-South programs but one.
Okay. So it might have started in like 48.
No, it didn't start. I think it might have started in 49. Seemed to me like it ended in 56. The NCAA made it quit having it. You couldn't have it on a campus.
Couldn't have it on a college campus.
But all big-time coaches came in here.
All right.
To see these were the best players from the North and the best from the South.
We're going to have to write season summaries. And the one season really stands out here while you were here was 1950-51.
Well, we won the OVC regular season. We won the tournament. We beat Western and Eastern on the same day.
Now, you all started 3, 6, 9. You won your first 12 games.
Right. Well, if you
beat Memphis twice.
Yeah, right.
You beat Memphis twice in that stretch. Beat Texas Tech in that stretch. So winning your first 12, that must have been pretty exciting time.
Well, it was an exciting time because we had a very outstanding team.
Did you get ranked about?
Oh yeah, well, that year is the highest Murray State's ever been at the end of the season. We got ranked 16th in the final AP poll.
Okay.
And we played Long Island, was number 1 in the country. We played them. We played Seton Hall and St. Bonaventure. And they were all at one time in the top 10 in the country. And played them all up there, of course, got beat.
Right.
We were supposed to play Long Island in the Madison Square Garden, and somewhere or other they flim-flammed us. We played them at their place in a 65-foot length gym.
After your first 12 wins, you played Eastern and Western, and you lost those 2 games.
Right. At Eastern and Western, I think.
Yes. Well, Eastern actually was here.
Was it here?
60-59. You remember that game at all?
No, I don't remember. I know Eastern, Hodges griped at officials all the time because Eastern set illegal screens. They would come right up and bang you right against you. And so, this was an interesting part of it. Hodges believed in you not switching. You're responsible for your man. Well, Eastern beat us about 5 or 6 times straight. Well, the next time we played Eastern, and I think it's right here, we're in this next time when they come to Murray. Well, we worked all week on switching, and we switched and beat them.
Yeah, they beat you at Murray 60-59, and then you had a game. Well, let me look at that again. Make sure I look out. 60-59. No, then they beat you again, 60-51. You beat them at the end of the year in the tournament.
We beat them and Western on the same day. What happened then? You played in the afternoon. You played at night. We beat them both.
Now, was it that tournament game where he decided to have them start switching?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the highest Murray State's ever been ranked. In the final AP poll, 16. Well, what happened in that year? We thought we beat Western twice, so we thought we'd get invited to the NIT.
Right.
Well, we were invited to the NAIA tournament in Kansas City, where we'd gone my sophomore year. Well, we turned it down because we beat Western twice and thought we'd go to the NIT. Well, Western got the bid, and we stayed at home.
Now, were you on the 51-52 team?
Yeah, I was on the 50. Well, you ended up 24-10.
Yeah,
and we were
24-10 that year, and it looks like you made it all the way to the NAIB final.
Yeah, right. I was the most valuable player in that tournament, and we ended up. We started out. If you look on that, I think we won 11 in a row, and we played Dayton. Well, Gene Garrett was one of our starters. He was an All-OVC player the year before with me and Bashir. He got drafted.
Right.
So, a guy named Bobby Clark was our sixth man. Bobby Clark moved into the lineup. He played 2 games and he got drafted. So we ended up having a freshman, Joe Meekus, starting of one of the 5.
So you lost 2 players during the season?
Lost 2 players. Hell, you went to, back then, that's a Korean War. They took you right out of school.
Wow.
So that we would have had the best team we'd ever had that year. Wasn't any question. Because Dean Garrett was an all-OVC player along with Bashir and myself the year before.
Talk about the Western Kentucky rivalry.
Well, of course, the Western Kentucky was our big rival at that time, and they were a nationally ranked team most of the time because of 2 things. Well, Mr. Diddle had been a great coach and had promoted them, and the one thing a lot of people don't realize, Kelly Thompson became the president of Western, and he at one time was their sports information director, and he also worked in New York. That's how they had all these connections to NIT. And so we always had a spirited game with Western, but to show you that we got along in lots of ways, Mr. Diddle came down here and spoke at our basketball banquet one year.
Okay. I guess the OVC didn't have an automatic NCAA tournament bid back then.
They didn't have an automatic bid until 55.
Okay.
And Hodges was partly responsible for that. He and Mr. Diddle Shively was the athletic director at University of Kentucky, and he was one of the main wheels in NCAA. And Mr. Diddle and Hodges had managed to put some pressure on him, and he agreed to get the OVC an automatic bid.
Now, the year that you went to the NAID final, I think they call that the NAID.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, was that a big deal to the people here in town?
Oh yeah, well see that was actually the 3rd biggest tournament in the country. You had the NIT was bigger than the NCAA, and you had the NCAA 32-team tournament.
Right. And
there wasn't any Division I, Division II crap.
Right.
So it was a big thing to go to the people were fired up about that because, like I said, there was no automatic bid to the NCAA, and so that was a place where he went. Louisville won it one year.
Did y'all have a big following out there?
We had Lindy Suter's granddad came, and Gerald and them came. Yeah, we had a lot of people went. There was Hugo Wilson, he was a car dealer. There was quite a few went.
Okay.
And one of the reasons that we got beat in the finals of that, Garrett Bashir's dad died during that tournament. So that didn't help we were lucky to get to the finals with his dad had passed away.
Okay. Let's move forward a little bit.
Okay.
Tell me about Cal Luther.
Cal Luther was, in my opinion, probably Murray State's greatest coach. He came here and they had I think a 3 out of 4 losing season under Alexander, and Luther took him a while to turn it around, but I came in as an assistant. We won the OVC in 63-64. First time Murray had gone to NCAA. And we lost to all of Chicago, who had won the NCAA. So, and over the years, he had all of the years here, he had a competitive team every year.
Right.
I worked with him 10 or 11 years as main assistant.
I've heard him described as a really fiery coach.
Oh yeah, very fiery coach, yes.
Can you relate any stories about Cal that will help people?
Well, one of the biggest things people would remember, if you get the crowd fired up, what do you do if his team wasn't playing well, or the referees made some bad calls or something? He'd jump up and take his coat off and throw it off. And that was one of the big things that he was a good showman in the fact he didn't get after the referees real bad. But that was one of the things that took place in Racer Arena, that he was able to fire up the crowd and people remember about him.
Now, when you started playing, they were playing in the North Gym, weren't they?
That's where I played. I never did play in
You never did play in Racer Arena? Okay. So when you were an assistant under Cal, that was the first time that you had...
Yeah, that's my association with Racer Arena, yeah.
Okay, all right. Talk about what it was like, the atmosphere in Racer Arena back in the 60s.
Oh, well, it was full every time. And back then, you had freshman teams. the freshmen weren't eligible. And so consequently, we had a freshman team. When we had our greatest freshman team with Dick Cunningham, Leonard Poole, it was sold out for the freshman game. I mean, people would come to, there'd be 4,000 people there more for the freshman game.
Okay.
And, it was an atmosphere you can't describe it. The atmosphere over at our site, not even in the same league as far as.
Now, 63-64.
Right.
Year you went to the NCAA.
Okay.
If you look at the results that year, y'all were really up and down until you hit this late season stretch where you won 7 in a row.
Right.
What changed? Was there one thing you can remember that allowed you guys to get on that big run?
Well, we had very good players, and the league was very. You had Western, East Tennessee, and Moorhead. All these teams were very good teams then, and so consequently, we lost some of those games on the road, and we had an unfortunate loss here at home to East Tennessee. And that was a big loss, but then we turned it around. But we had some outstanding players on that team. Jim Jennings is one of the best players that been in Murray State's history, I think. And Jennings. There was other good players on there: John Namsu, Scott Slusher, Al Vardas. So these guys were outstanding players.
But you don't remember any particular strategic change?
Well, I think we turned it around when we lost at home here to East Tennessee.
Okay.
And one funny story, I don't know whether you want to use it or not, but when we lost to East Tennessee, controversial call, and Dr. Woods was the president. Well, Dr. Woods always sat down at the north end. Well, the referees dressed at the north end. Well, John McPherson, who was the best official probably in the South, he worked as SEC, he worked a lot of games here. Well, at the end of the game, after this controversial call where we lost, well, you saw the referees headed down that way, and then you saw some type of a little bit of a commotion down there. Well, we didn't know really what happened. Well, after the game, what had happened, Dr. Woods had got after the referees. Well, John McPherson, the class guy that he was, he wrote Cal a letter, and he said, "Cal, I've been coming to Murray State many years," and he said, "I had an unfortunate experience when I started the dressing room." Said a big fellow, Dr. Woods is about 6'4", 6'5". He said a big gray-haired fellow reached out and grabbed me and told me how bad a game I called and so forth. And he didn't tell who it was, because if he would have turned us in, we would have been fined and possibly maybe more than that for the league office. But he said, "I think it'd be better if I didn't come back to Murray State to referee for a while." So John didn't come back for, I don't know, a few years, but that was what happened. And that game after that's when we turned it around.
Okay. 67-68.
Okay, we
OVC championship again.
Yeah, that was after the year we lost to East Tennessee in a playoff. And we played them at Eastern Kentucky. And they had a guy named Harley Swift who was the best player in the conference. He went on and played in the NBA for a while. And we had Cunningham, Billy Chumler, Tom Moran, and it was a loss, one of those.
Well, the next NCAA trip was 68-69, where you guys played Marquette.
Marquette, Carbondale.
Right.
Yeah.
Was Al McGuire the coach at Marquette at the time?
He was the coach at Marquette at that time, yeah.
Well, that must have been pretty interesting to have, because people talk about Cal Luther being fiery. I can recall McGuire could throw coaches with the best of them.
Oh, yeah.
I can remember him throwing it on the floor and stomping on it. So.
Well, to show you a story on him, when I coached at Anna Jonesboro, Illinois, he was coaching at, I don't know what the hell's name of that school over in Carolina before he came. Belmont Abbey. He's coaching Belmont Abbey. They came to play SIU Carbondale. So, of course, we went up there to see the game. And his big thing for motion was, if he beat SIU Carbondale, he'd buy everybody in there an ice cream bar. So he put on a show up there, and that was before anybody knew Apple Bar. Belmont Abbey.
Okay. When you guys played Marquette, what was did did you all, obviously it was a big deal going to the NCAA tournament. I don't really know how big a deal Marquette was at that time. Was it a game that you went into?
Well, they were favored to win, of course.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was a game that we were the underdogs, and we played them very tough for most of the game.
Right.
And, but I'm trying to remember how far they went in the NCAA that year. I can't recall right now. You could look it up, but I don't recall. But, see, one year, while he was in Marquette, I don't know whether you know this or not, but they told him that he had to go to the NCAA because they couldn't go to the NIT, so he didn't even go to the NCAA.
I know there was one year where McGuire was angry that they kept putting Marquette in the same region as Kentucky.
Well, he was angry at that, and the fact they told him they couldn't go to the NIT.
I think one year he turned down an NCAA bid to go to the NIT.
Yeah, that's the year what I was talking about. Yeah.
So,
well, the NIT for years and years was the tournament.
Right.
And that was the tournament.
Okay. All right. One thing